Good evening, I'm Jeff Glore, and this is our Western edition. We're reporting tonight from the U.S. Capitol in Washington, where Americans are getting their chance to pay respects to George H.W. Bush, America's 41st president. That includes the 45th president, Donald Trump, and First Lady Melania. Mr. Bush's body will lie in state in the rotunda until Wednesday morning, when a state funeral will be held. The casket arrived here as the sun set over the nation's capital, providing an absolutely breathtaking backdrop today. Mr. Bush served the country from World War II to the end of the Cold War and beyond. He died Friday at the age of 94, less than 8 months after the death of Barbara Bush, his wife of 73 years. We begin here tonight with Nancy Cordes, also at the Capitol.
In a moment made for the history books, the sun set over Washington as the casket bearing the 41st President of the United States was carried up the Capitol steps. Awaiting it at the top, more than a dozen members of President Bush's cabinet, along with his Vice President, Dan Quayle, and an emotional 43rd President, George W. Bush. Inside the Capitol Rotunda, the Speaker of the House paid tribute to a remarkable life.
There was that image of him as a loving father reaching out to hold his son's hand at the National Cathedral after 9/11.
Here at the Capitol and across the nation, flags fly at half-staff. The New York Stock Exchange observed a moment of silence for the 94-year-old who passed away Friday night at home in Houston after telling his oldest son by phone that he loved him. This morning, the younger President Bush greeted his father's casket at Ellington Air Force Base in Houston. The extended Bush family accompanied the casket to Washington aboard Air Force One, which was renamed Special Air Mission 41 for the flight to Joint Base Andrews. Mr. Bush's service dog, Sully, who kept watch at his master's casket overnight, made the journey too. At Andrews, another solemn tribute from the military for a man who was not just commander-in-chief, but one of the youngest naval aviators in World War II, flying 58 missions in the Pacific, starting at age 18. He never lost that love of flying. An aide revealed this weekend that Mr. Bush, who also loved to make a statement with his socks, had chosen to be laid to rest wearing this pair. After the war, George Herbert Walker Bush went to Yale University, founded an oil company, served 2 terms in the House of Representatives, and fathered 6 children with his beloved Barbara Bush, who passed away in April. In the 70s, Mr. Bush was appointed ambassador to the United Nations and director of the CIA.
This is the course we're going to go.
He lost his bid for the White House in 1980. But the man who beat him in the primary tapped him as his running mate, which led to an 8-year partnership. Vice President Mike Pence.
I'm told as he was preparing to become vice president, he once joked about the job, saying that there was, quote, nothing substantive to do at all.
In 1988, Mr. Bush won the race to succeed President Reagan by a landslide, steering the ship of state as the Berlin Wall came down, the Soviet Union dissolved, and the first Gulf War broke out, only to be defeated in 1992 by a Democratic governor from Arkansas who tapped into the nation's growing economic anxiety. President Clinton told 60 Minutes that the two developed a bond anyway.
It's been one of the great joys of my life, my friendship with him. Our arguments were good-natured and open, and we continue to debate things all the way up until recently.
This evening, after most of the dignitaries had departed, President Trump came to the Capitol to pay his respects. The last president to lie in state here at the U.S. Capitol was Gerald Ford, who died in 2006. 57,000 people filed through the Capitol Rotunda to pay their respects, and the Capitol will be open all night to the public and through tomorrow to allow for a similar send-off for Mr. Bush. Jeff?
Okay, Nancy, thank you very much.